autonomous, activate, elevate.
Hello and welcome back to Mastering HubSpot AI. Thank you for joining us today. Today we are talking about AI assistants. And what the goal of today's session is to give HubSpot practitioners, users, admins, a practical understanding of AI assistants inside of HubSpot. We're going to talk about what comes out of the box of HubSpot, what you can customize, how to create your own assistants, and how to start using them today. I'm joined here today with John, who's one of our leading AI experts at SmartBug. Thanks for joining us again today, John.
Thanks for having me, Paul.
So today what we're going to be talking about is many of you have seen various AI buttons throughout HubSpot. You see it in your navigation, you see little chiclets throughout HubSpot, and those pop up throughout the platform. Some of you have seen those and aren't sure quite what to do yet. Some of you are dabbling with that. Some of you are using more of those. And so what we're trying to do today, this episode, is really to help you improve your proficiency with HubSpot AI assistants, both ones that are in-app and ones that are assistants that you'll see on your sidebar, which John is going to demo for us today. HubSpot has shipped a lot of different tools in the platform in the last couple of years related to AI. Really our goal is to help you, make you more confident in being able to use these, whether you're a marketer, salesperson, whether you're a HubSpot admin, whether you're in customer success, customer support. And so we're going to jump in today to show you how you get real value out of them, show you where they are inside the platform, and so to help you really get you up to speed. So let's jump into it in terms of AI assistants inside of HubSpot. John, take us through what are AI assistants inside of HubSpot. Help us frame this conversation before we start demoing into them.
So AI assistants are inside of HubSpot are prompt-driven helpers that help contextually with writing and summarization built into the different areas of HubSpot that you're already navigating and working inside of. So think things like helping write or rewrite emails, content inside of pages, blogs, social posts, even summarizing CRM records. So you don't have to leave HubSpot. You don't need a separate tool. It is essentially a ChatGPT type tool baked into the HubSpot platform.
Awesome. Yeah. So, we're going to demo what some of these are, where they live inside of HubSpot. And so within AI assistants, we can see when we go into HubSpot, our top navigation, we have our assistant itself specifically. So John, can you just take us, the native out of the box Breeze assistant, like what is this? How can we really get up to speed with how this helps us on the day to day?
Yeah. So what I'm showing here, just as far as kind of out of the box assistance, there's a few ways two main ways to access it. The first is, as you called out, this assistant tab on the top here that pulls out this sidebar. And importantly, as I mentioned, these AI assistants are baked into the platform or wherever you might be viewing. So Paul, let's pull up your record. And I think if showing an example of this would be helpful. So because they're baked in an inline AI assistant, it can grab the context of the page you're looking at. So in this case, if I'm prospecting you, Paul, this record was already in here. It was just assigned to me. I just want to understand at a high level who you are. So I could ask, summarize this contact record, please, because manners should not be lost. And then what it'll do is just review everything on this page we're looking at on this record and give us a nice high level summary, who you are, your title, contact information, where you are in the life cycle stage, as well as some other information like former communications, right? Summaries of that, maybe outstanding tasks or areas you've engaged with, whether it's an email or on the website. So this AI assistant that pops out is contextual on the page you're on. And you also might see on certain pages, as Paul mentioned, this chicklet, right? So this is just a draft landing page. And inside this landing page, you have all different sorts of text modules. But if I click into any one of these and highlight this is what Paul was talking about, this icon here. So this is similar to the AI assistant, but a lot more specific for the area that you're at, right? So those are the two ways to access these AI assistants. And for this, textually, you can ask it to change the tone, rewrite, expand, shorten, you name it. This function is probably what most people are used to, whereas the assistant on the top and the sidebar is, I think, something that's been developing and become a lot stronger of a tool as of late.
All right. So the other area where I wanted to talk a little bit about AI assistants, John shared the area inside of the text editor. And I think that's really useful in the text editor if you want to change the tone of voice. You want to help do a little brainstorm on that little copy right there. But you can also access the AI assistant on the right side of the page. You'll see the AI, the diamond on the right side, which is collaborate with assistant. And why I think this is really useful is if like you don't even know what you're going to write on that page yet. Like how do you want to frame the content on that page? And so this is really great opportunity for them to be able to again use Breeze Assistant to help brainstorm. Say, hey, I want to do a blog piece on this specific topic. This is the area where you can go and again and use that. And once that's in there, you can even have it automatically push onto the page itself. So you can see how AI is getting baked into a lot of different places, but in really practical ways. And so I think it's just really useful to call that out. So you can see it's not just like in little text editors, it's also used for macro purposes like brainstorming and research. As John mentioned, custom assistants are kind of like custom GPTs within ChatGPT, if that's what you're using, or Gemini gems if you use Gemini. So if you go into the assistant itself and you click on the little drop down right here, you can see there's you got all your custom assistants right here. You click on manage assistants and then you click on create assistant right there. And this is where you can create your own custom assistant. So if you're used to building your own gems or custom GPTs, this will make a lot of sense. For those of you that are maybe a little bit newer to creating your own AI assistants, what you can use here is just conversationally, what do you want this assistant to help with? I think about the most common use case we see for assistance is like a sales use case, which John took us through a lot of those options, but there's going to be different use cases for everyone in your organization, from finance, accounting to development to customer success to marketing to niche marketing. What if you're an event marketer? You could create an event marketing custom assistant to help you think through some of the use cases for that. So all you do is really type that in right there. You create assistant, and there you're able to have that inside here. These are just a couple of assistants that we have. And essentially what you can do once you start creating these assistants is you can pack them full of the context that's useful for those assistants to do their jobs. One other great use case you could be thinking about for custom AI assistants is like creating a case study agent or a customer example agent. And why this is useful is if you got a new prospect that's coming to you and saying, hey, have you ever worked with this type of client in the past? What you can do with this type of assistant is essentially pull that up and you can run that query in the assistant and say, hey, pull me up all of the projects that we have done in this vertical or this type of project. And that's where your sales team and sales engineers can save them a boatload of time to be able to, give them those types of examples. They're not fishing around in your file management system to find those examples or on your website in your case study library. AI assisted services it for you. So I wanted to just share that example right there. So let's jump over to the next section, John, in terms of like accessing these assistants. You showed us a couple of examples already today, the CRM sidebar, the sidebar within Content Hub within the content editor. Are there any other examples you think that are noteworthy, like in email tools or social tools you think are worth calling out here?
So, other areas to use AI assistants inside of HubSpot. The first is, I think, emails. This is going to be more focused on sales people. But if we open up the AI assistant again, and I pre-typed in here, right, draft me an email to Paul introducing myself and SmartBug services. Takes about 5 seconds to think and spits out this draft, which you can then copy. And then if you work directly inside the HubSpot CRM, you could pop open an email and copy that right in there, making your edits as you need to directly within the text editor, adding a subject line and such. So that's a big one I see for a lot of sales teams, just saving time. There is also blog editing assistance. I think we touched on this a bit earlier within the landing page, but it works in a very similar way. So if you have a blog here and you wanted to just come into any old draft, you could ask it to rewrite this entire blog in a new tone, say focusing it on a CMO audience by just, again, clicking this collaborate with assistant on the side here and starting a new chat, right? Rewrite this blog focusing the tone and language toward a CMO audience. And it'll go ahead and help you draft. You can also, Paul, I think you mentioned this earlier, inside this editor, have it research the topic as well and maybe give you new talking points or sections to write in the blog. So this one, of course, I think is for marketers and content editors. Page editor, social composer. So you can have your AI assistant write you social posts. You can also have it remix blogs for you into different social posts, promoting blogs or other content. And then I think finally, workflows. This is a really new area for HubSpot, but HubSpot has invested in their AI tools to be able to use natural language to create workflows. So it's being developed and evolved every day, but I think that's another really good use case for ops-focused individuals.
Yeah, I love that one right there. And we've used it at SmartBug, the workflow AI assistant functionality to create net new workflows. I think it's really useful for those of you that maybe are new to workflows too. If you've never done any sort of automation and you're jumping into workflows for the first time, it can be daunting. I think workflows is a tool that just takes a little bit more of an intermediate or an advanced understanding of HubSpot and how everything's connected to really be effective there. So yeah, I love that use case. John, you talked about some of the social media editing and content creation functionality there. I think that's useful. I think the last one is like marketing email. So I know a lot of you write a lot of emails to your audience. That's another place that, if you could use either content remix or you could just use the AI assistant within the email editing function to help you write subject lines, write email copy, write preview text, and just overall like make you a little bit more efficient, especially if you're doing a lot of these. So, if you're writing these things from scratch, writing sales emails, marketing emails from scratch these days, there's a lot better ways that you could be spending your time making you more effective to be able to create more personalized content for a lot more different audiences.
And one more, I guess, use case or add on to the workflow portion that we just talked about, using AI and natural language to create workflows. Someone here at SmartBug just the other week paired up they used Claude kind of on the side for all sorts of tasks, but they asked Claude, they took a screenshot of a workflow and they gave it to Claude and said, hey, can you write me a prompt that I can use inside of HubSpot to help me recreate this workflow with a few changes? And Claude rewrote a prompt that they then pasted directly into the AI workflow builder, which is, if we create a new workflow here, he copied the prompt in here and then it recreated the workflow, very high fidelity, exactly as he wanted it.
I love that. I love that use case. I love AI's ability to take a visual and then be able to give you the full context in text format for that. So love those examples right there. There's really use cases across the board for HubSpot customers. All right, last section, we're getting into just getting the most value out of AI assistants inside of HubSpot. In one important area, John's done a lot of research and writing related to this is just around prompting. So, John, if we're to give a few basic prompting tips for our audience, what were some things that we can set them up for success?
So there's a few different things here. In the book that I wrote and published last year, Paul, with Aaron, we talked about a lot of different prompting tips. One of our techniques through researching was this STAR method, as we kind of coined it. So the S is the situation, the T is the task, the A is the audience, and the R is the result. So in your prompting, if you are including those four elements, what's the situation? What's the context? What task do you need done? Hey, I need you based on this context to do that. Who's the audience? This is especially important if you're writing content or if the AI is writing content for you. And then result. What should a good output look like? And I think that is a really important one not to skip on that can take something from good to great.
Love that. Yeah, I heard a lot of prompting frameworks, things like that. It's garbage in, garbage out at the end of the day. So I think if you give a really generic type of prompt, you're going to get a really generic type of output. And so by having a good framework like that, it really just makes it so that you're giving AI enough to give you the quality results that you need back.
And yeah, exactly. And another thing is don't expect it to be 100%. If really on anything, really, this is the same thing with humans, right? A lot of times it takes editing and revising before you get to a final draft, whether it's AI or human. So when using in this context, like HubSpot's AI assistants, be sure to reference what's on the page, right? So say, use what you're looking at now, as we gave an example earlier. And then also just iterate. be ready to redo or ask it to do something differently.
Love that. All right, let's jump into some quick prompt ideas for those that are looking to say, hey, what specifically can I put into HubSpot's AI assistant to get some outputs? Let's do a couple for sales, couple for marketing, couple for customer support types of roles. So let's start with sales first. What are a couple prompts that you'd use for the sales teams?
Here's two easy ones if you're a salesperson. First, inside a contact record, ask the AI assistant to summarize the contact with for the last 90 days of activity. You'll get a really quick punch list of, okay, this person has done this, this, and this. The second is creating follow-up emails. Ask your HubSpot AI assistant to draft a follow-up email referencing the last conversation you had about whatever service or topic you were talking about.
All right, let's do marketing next. What are a couple of prompt ideas for marketers?
Content repurposing. This is an easy no-brainer. We talked about it and showed an example earlier, but the content remix tool, you can turn a blog post, for instance, into 3 social posts. That's an easy, quick win that'll save marketers hours and hours of time. The second is an email refresh. So if you have a series of lead nurturing emails that are getting a little stale, performance is dropping off, have that AI assistant come in there and rewrite it to be more shorter or more action oriented.
Love those. And I'm going to jump into, let's do service next. I'm going to give one, John, you give one too. So it's customer support. I would think about, give me a summary of the last 5 support tickets and an overall customer sentiment on a 1 to 10 scale. How is our customer? Are they happy with our product or are they disgruntled? I love that type of thing, just to get a quick summary of what are the customer issues and things that they've called in with as it relates to ticketing and any customer support issues like that. Any other customer success or support ones you think we should call out?
Yeah, I think this is probably like a level 1 ticket, but if you're just getting into an account, asking it to summarize what products or services they have, and importantly, the different points of contact to make sure that they're either copied or you're always talking to the right people.
That's great. All right. Well, those are all of our prompts. We are going to close here in just a minute. Last few things, John, as we think about sort of takeaways and action items for our audience, what are a couple of just quick things that they can do today beyond just the prompts that we talked about that they should start testing out inside of HubSpot that they should start using today?
Number 1 is pick one thing to do based off of something that's taking a lot of time or is a headache, right? Don't try to do everything at once. That creates overwhelm, analysis paralysis, and you end up doing nothing. So just focus on one thing and start to understand how AI can help you in your day-to-day with that one task and then expand from there.
Got it. And I'll give a couple other tips. I think if you really want to be able to use HubSpot AI assistants to do a great job in drafting content and really sounding like you, go set up your brand voice inside of HubSpot. You can access this, just go inside of settings, AI and brand voice. And what this will do is you put information about your company, your products. If you have a voice and tone document, you put that inside there. Tell it all about your company. By doing that, that gives you the context to AI to be able to then create more personalized content. John, any other
Love that.
final tips that we should give to the audience before we wrap today?
Yeah, I think 2 more. So if you're on Sales Hub, you're in the part of the sales organization, use Copilot and AI assistants to help you prep for your calls. So ask it to summarize the past 3 calls and see if there's been any changes in sentiment or direction to the conversations. That's a really easy one that will save salespeople a lot of time. The second and last is as you start to get more comfortable with HubSpot's AI assistants, or if you already are, create your own assistants for tasks that you see yourself prompting over and over. That, I think, will take your AI game to the next level.
John, thanks again for joining us today on Mastering HubSpot AI. Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you on the next episode, and have a great rest of your week.